UFC's most feared prospect, until a single failed drug test shattered everything. Today, we explore the rise, fall, and tumultuous journey of a fighter who was on the brink of superstardom until one mistake changed his destiny forever, the ascendancy of a future champion. In the world of mixed martial arts, few stories are as captivating as that of a fighter who rises from obscurity to dominate the octagon. This was the story of Kamaru Usman, a wrestler with relentless determination, a fighter whose name became synonymous with ferocity and discipline. His journey began with humble roots, grinding through the ranks with a singular focus, becoming the best. Over time, his relentless work ethic paid off. He became a UFC champion, earning victories through a combination of raw power, tactical genius, and an unbreakable will. Fans witnessed a fighter who was virtually unstoppable until the shadows of controversy crept in. A single event would threaten to undo years of hard work and redefine his legacy. The controversy emerges. It started quietly, rumors, whispers of a failed drug test. But soon, the reality became undeniable. A drug test administered after one of his fights returned positive for substances many in the MMA community have long debated as marijuana metabolites. In an era where marijuana is increasingly accepted and less penalized in many athletic circles, the reaction was mixed. Some viewed it as a minor infraction, a personal choice that shouldn't tarnish a career. Others saw it as a breach of integrity, a blemish on the reputation of a rising star. For Usman, the fallout was swift. His victory in that fight was overturned, his reputation questioned, and his future suddenly uncertain. Unpacking Usman's perspective. In the midst of the controversy, Usman spoke out. He maintained that marijuana was not performance-enhancing and that he didn't cheat. He expressed frustration at how the situation was handled, emphasizing that he stood by his choices. But beyond the headlines, questions emerged about his motivations and future course. One particular topic drew significant attention: his reluctance to face Belal Muhammad, the current #1 contender, despite their ongoing social media beef. Many fans and analysts wondered, why was Usman avoiding the matchup? Was it fear, or was there a deeper reason? Usman's explanation and fan reactions. In interviews and public statements, Usman explained that he saw no benefit in fighting Belal at that moment. He argued that he had already been champion, had nothing to prove, and was focused solely on reclaiming the belt. He pointed out that Belal was ranked above him, and that beating him wouldn't serve his ultimate goal, getting back to the title. Instead, he claimed Belal was the one calling him out, trying to create controversy for his own gain. But this reasoning didn't sit well with everyone. Fans flooded social media with reactions, many accusing Usman of avoiding a dangerous fight. Critics argued that beating Belal would have been a direct shot at regaining his championship status. Comments ranged from, "If Belal is ranked above you, how do you have nothing to gain?" to more pointed remarks about past head kicks and perceived damage. The bigger fight and mental battles. While the Usman saga unfolded, another story was gaining momentum, an upcoming heavyweight title fight that had fans on the edge of their seats. Dustin Poirier, a veteran and former interim champion, weighed in on the mental toll fighters face before big bouts. He spoke openly about the pressure, the mental fatigue that can either sharpen or break a fighter's resolve. Poirier shared that he's been in those shoes, having fought for the undisputed title 3 times, only to come up short each time. He emphasized that fighting at this level isn't just about physical skill, it's about mental resilience. He praised Tom Aspinall's athleticism and footwork, highlighting that his speed and movement are rare for a heavyweight. But he also pointed out that handling that kind of pressure, the weight of expectations, the mental stress can be the real challenge. The question he posed was simple yet profound. How does Tom deal with that pressure when the cage door closes? Will he thrive or crack under the mental strain? The Patchy Mix controversy. In other news, the MMA community was rocked by a surprising development involving Bellator's Patchy Mix. Reports surfaced that he had failed a drug test for marijuana during a fight in France last May. Initially, this led to the overturning of his victory. What was supposed to be a split decision win was changed to a loss, creating chaos within the organization and among fans. Mix responded on social media, dismissing the report, stating that weed ain't no performance-enhancing drug. He pointed out that the issue was a lab error, an incorrect decimal reading that falsely claimed he was over the limit. His fiancée, Tatiana Suarez, added context, explaining that Mix didn't smoke during the fight, and that the lab's mistake was a frustrating nightmare. She detailed the struggles of dealing with international commissions and their complex, often inconsistent standards. But then, just hours later, things took a surprising turn. An MMA journalist reported that Mix's win still stood after a second test confirmed he was negative for the substance. The chaos of 24 hours settled into clarity. Mix's victory remains intact, and his record stays clean. But the incident left many pondering the inconsistencies and frustrations fighters face on the international stage. Light-hearted moments, Cormier and Bisping's comedy. Amidst all the serious news, MMA fans were treated to a hilarious moment. Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping taking part in a Not My Arms challenge during a UFC weigh-in show. The two legends exchanged laughs, with Bisping pretending to be DC's arms, attempting to feed him breakfast, lunch, and even water. The chaos, the missed bites, the the spilled cereal all combined into one of the funniest moments in recent UFC memory: Khamzat's future and Dana White's stance. Meanwhile, one of the most talked about fighters, Khamzat Chimaev, continues to stay in the headlines. Despite his dominant win over Duplessis in August, his return to the octagon has hit a major delay. Supporters hoped he'd fight again in January, especially before Ramadan, which begins in February, but sources close to the situation reveal that UFC officials, led by Dana White, have no interest in booking Khamzat so soon. White reportedly told Khamzat that his return will have to wait until after Ramadan, pushing his comeback to late spring or early summer. Khamzat remains disciplined, training hard and waiting for official word, but frustration is mounting. Fans online express disappointment, many believing the UFC is holding him back for matchmaking reasons, or to build a bigger event around his return. The controversy over Tom Aspinall's stance. In another high-profile story, heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall made headlines by saying he would rather vacate his title than fight his close friend and teammate, Ante Dillashaw. His stance drew a strong reaction from UFC President Dana White, who called it absolutely insane. White emphasized that friendship should never interfere with professional competition at the highest level. He asserted that fighters must put their titles and integrity above personal bonds. To refuse to defend the belt because of loyalty, White argued, is missing the point of being a champion. Aspinall's position sparked debate. Can loyalty and competition coexist? Or does the sport demand fighters to face their toughest challenges, regardless of personal relationships? Final reflections. The stories of Usman, Poirier, Mix, Cormier, Aspinall, and Khamzat are just snapshots of a larger narrative, one that continues to evolve with each fight, each decision, each controversy. What lies ahead? Will Usman find redemption? Can Aspinall overcome his principled stance? And how will Khamzat's patience shape his future? The answers remain uncertain, but one thing is clear: the world of MMA is never dull.